A lot of it was just learning things the hard way. I didn't know enough. To all the listeners, I mean, that's one thing. Just definitely invest in education, invest in yourself. If I would have really just did that more, I probably would have got my first deal a lot sooner than it.
They say that 93% of real estate agents will never own an investment property. Like, you're in the business. You probably sold a bunch of rental properties, multifamily. You never considered keeping one for yourself? Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Path Podcast. I am your host, Marco Cabrera, and today we have a special guest, Ralph Germani. He is the mastermind behind NJ Fast Homebuyers, LLC, and Germain Realty Investment Group. Tune in as we uncover Ralph's journey and gain insights for your own financial success. Ralph, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I know it was like super last minute, but you made it happen, bro, and I appreciate that.
Yep, it worked out, and I had to show up. I follow all your stuff, so I couldn't wait to be here, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. But so let's get right to it, man. What was your life before real estate?
My life before real estate was it was the just typical first generation American life. My parents are first. They emigrated here from Haiti.
Haiti.
Yep.
Ça passe.
Yep. My bullet. Yep. So they had my older sister was like pretty young, and they came here trying to give their kids a better life. And to me, I think that's like one of the bravest things you could ever do. I can't imagine like leaving here, going to a new country, don't know the language, don't know the culture, don't have any money, don't have a job lined up, and just figuring out. So
that's funny that you say that. Like we have trouble moving into the next town, a town over, and here our parents risked it all just to come over here to give us a better life.
And so they put us through school. They told us to go to college, get a good job, and then just like work that job until you die, or like right before you're about to die, and then you retire and enjoy a few years, and then you kick the bucket. And I was content with that, man. I was content with just working the job and living the typical American dream. And I'm a hard worker. I got good work ethic, so I never thought I'd be without a job. And then I got laid off. I was working at a school. Wow. I worked on a nonprofit side in education, so I worked basically like managing students' socio-emotional needs. And so I had a levy position from counselor all the way up to director. So I was a director at this point, and the school decided they wanted to go with a different agency, and my agency was like, well, we can't keep you guys without a school. So I was laid off. And I remember when I got that call, I remember feeling like like the water was turned off or something. Like I just felt like everything was over. I had no income, I had no savings, I had no plan. And that was like the shifting point for me in my life. I feel like that moment almost broke me, but I feel like I remember thinking to myself, like, this is never gonna happen again. I'm never gonna let another person have that much power where they could just make a choice and like my whole life just get flipped upside down. And I remember Googling how to make money fast legally. And I was
you added that legally part, right?
I was
who knows what pop up.
And I remember and I wasn't gonna go with the first thing I saw, so I just kept reading and across every article, every blog, there was always real estate. Real estate kept coming up. It was like the common theme. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna flip houses. Then I was like, bought Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that book. Then I was like, all right, I don't have any money to flip houses, so what do I do? So I went to a meetup, and I heard somebody, the guy on the panel. I went to a Nick Tang meetup. Shout out to Nick Tang. And on the panel, the guy was talking about he flips homes, he buys them from wholesalers, and he buys in Newark, in East Orange, and Irvington. So I said, all right, I'm going to start wholesaling. I didn't know what it was. I'm going to start wholesaling, and I'm going to start wholesaling in Newark, East Orange, and Irvington. If I find a deal there, I know I got one buyer. And so up until that moment, my life was just it was good, and then when I got laid off, it just went down, and in that moment, kind of is like the turning point where everything changed for me.
Wow! So you were in education, right? Did you get an education to educate?
Yeah.
So I mean, was there college in between, getting your job and to get to that level of director?
Yeah. So I went to St. Peter's College, now St. Peter's University. I actually majored in business. After college, I got a job working for Bank of America. So I worked for them for a while as well. And this was around like 2006, 2007. So everybody knows what happened next. So I remember I was, working for the like call center, the call service number, and then I got promoted after like 6 months. My sales were crazy, so I got promoted to like assistant manager. They call it the Flex 4 program. Mm-hmm. So I got that promotion on like a Thursday, and mind you, people had been there for like years, and I just came in 6 months, got that promotion. Friday we had like a luncheon with the regional manager, and then Monday morning is like when everything went down because the market started crashing. And so it was like, everybody in this whole department, we're switching you guys over to collections because they were anticipating all these people were not going to be able to pay their credit card bills, their mortgages, and so I lost that position. I had to start from scratch again. And then eventually I had a friend of mine who was opening up a school, and he was like, listen, man, I know you work with the youth. I was really involved in church with the young people in church. So he was like, why don't you come and work for the school? And I was like, you know what? Let me take a little break from like the corporate finance side of it, and let me do something that I feel like I just love and I'm passionate about. Yeah. And so that's how I ended up working education. I did that for like about 15 years.
Wow. So corporate was beating you up, huh?
Yeah, man.
So you got into Bank of America, the crash happens. Yep. You get at a decent position. Now they throw you back into like cold calling and collections.
Yeah. It's collections. It was even worse.
Yeah, it's worse, right? Like,
yeah, man. It was
cold callers got a bad rap, but collections?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had tactics too, man. I mean, I can go off on stories about that, but we were like, I don't want to put out Bank of America secrets, but we had like cell phones for like every city. So like we just borrowed like, hey, I need the Atlanta cell phone, and just call somebody in Atlanta.
Yeah, start making calls with that.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow, that's wild. So, and then, all right, so you get an education, lost your job, now you're unemployed, went to a meetup. Go to meetups. I say it all the time. I preach it. Go be around it. Surround yourself with high-level professionals that are doing it. It's very cheap, sometimes free. Go in there, shake hands, meet people, and just get into real estate, man. Yeah. It's awesome.
2 points to that. I mean, I actually only went to that meetup because the ticket was $5. And I was like, I can't buy a $25 ticket right now. I don't know how long this money's going to last me. So that's very true. It is cheap. And the first person I met at the very first meetup I went to, we're now business partners. We own a few rental properties. In
Ohio. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. All right. So that's the power of networking.
Highlight that point. Yeah. Go to meetups.
Yeah. Go to meetups. We're having one March 14th, so don't miss it. But yeah, man. So what made you want to get into real estate and wholesaling specifically? Was it because you had no money?
Yeah. I mean, it was really that decision of just wanting to have my own control over my finances. And it's so crazy because when you work a job, you think you have stability, you think you're good, you think, I'm not going to lose this income, but it's actually like the riskiest thing, right? Because your whole check depends on somebody else, running the business right. And that can always turn in a minute. And so, that's really what drove me to real estate. And then I think I read something that said like 90% of the world's millionaires got their millions through investing in real estate, or, they hold real estate or something like that. And so I remember thinking at that time too, like, why did nobody tell me about this? Like I went to, and nothing against like public school, but like my parents paid and put us in private school. And like, I went to college. Nobody told me about real estate. Nobody told me like, this is how you build wealth. Nobody told me like, you should work a job, but like also have something else that will like sustain you. And so I think that's really what drove me is this. It was like I discovered a secret that nobody told me about. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's explore this. Let's see if this really works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I mean, even like in a bank, like you're working at a bank, get a loan for a home, or something like that. Nobody tells you these things, and you're literally in a place where they lend people to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually sold mortgages. Like if people called about their credit card, you had to get like a certain amount of like transfers, so if people had like, home with equity in it, my sales position was like, try to get them on the line with a mortgage rep. So you're like, hey, you want to tap into, some of the equity in your home? Here, like we have some great options. Let me transfer you, and you get credit for transferring them. And I didn't even think about it, and nobody, nobody told you. Which, to the point, nobody is supposed to tell you, right? Some of the stuff you gotta have to go and figure it out for yourself. Yeah. And then, one thing I enjoy doing is like now telling other people about it. Putting them onto the opportunity.
Which is why we're here, right? This is why we're sharing this information. But you see that in so many places, like even like real estate agents. It's a pretty crazy statistic. I don't know if it's changed, but they say that 93% of real estate agents will never own an investment property.
Crazy. Yep.
Like you're in the business. You probably sold a bunch of rental properties, multifamily. Yeah. You never considered keeping one for yourself, or that lender you're sending all the business to. Yep. Get yourself a loan, and start capitalizing on what's available.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild, man. So why don't you talk about getting your first deal? Like how was that? How did that work out?
Yeah.
You're learning about real estate. You went to an event. You're shaking hands. What's next?
Yeah, so I decided to, when you're thinking about wholesaling, you have to think about like how much money do I have to invest in my lead source, and so obviously I got a job about like 2-3 months later, but I was unemployed for 2 months. It took me like another 4 or 5 months to catch up on like not being unemployed.
Yeah,
and so I started driving for dollars.
Okay.
And I did
old school way or with the app?
No, old school way. I got a car. Let me tell you how dumb this was. I remember I was going to drive for dollars in Newark. This was like 2019, and I wore like a shirt, a tie, a blazer, shoes. If I'm driving for dollars, it's sweats and dirty sneakers, right? Because I thought I was going to meet with homeowners and like present them my package or whatever. That's how far off I didn't know what I was doing, but
you learned.
Yeah, drove for dollars. I remember I left a letter on, I left my letters on a bunch of doors. Instead of putting it in the mailbox, I used to just like tape it on the door, on the front door with like big blue like painter's tape, so I didn't mess up their door. But they would definitely get my letter and open it. And I got a call, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm selling it. This is my mom's property, but I already have a buyer." I was like, "Dang!" And so I kept following up with him every week, and I followed up with him for like 3 months, and then it finally closed. He was like, "Yeah, I appreciate you following up. It closed last week." So my heart was crushed, but he was like, "But you know what? I have a cousin, and he has a property. It's his grandfather's property. They don't want it, and so he wants to sell. So maybe you can call him." And so he introduced me to his cousin. I went and saw the property, locked it up on the contract, and it was mixed use in Irvington.
Nice.
And I sold it to who I thought was a buyer. He was actually another wholesaler.
Okay.
And so another big lesson for me, when I realized what he was doing, he was wholesaling it. I had another buyer in line. So I ended up selling it to that buyer, and I made $12,000 on that deal, my first deal.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you did a JV with him?
So he kind of started flaking.
Okay.
So I ended up finding my own buyer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So you started vetting buyers differently now.
Yeah.
Right? Are you a wholesaler or not? Because there's a lot of that,
Well, I mean, the key to that is just, EMD is due on this day.
Yeah.
If they're not putting in EMD, they're not the one buying it, right?
Yeah, for sure. But just to unpack, your first deal, the fact that you were following up so consistently, obviously you build trust with the seller.
Yeah.
Well, the potential lead,
sure.
right? And where he felt confident enough to throw you a bone for his cousin.
Yeah.
Right? And so many deals come from that, like how you handle yourself and following up. Because you could have easily just said, forget about it. He's got a buyer. Why focus so much time and energy here? And that ended up being your first deal through him.
Yeah.
It wasn't specifically him, but because you did
Sure.
the follow up and, stay consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what you hear, right? I mean, the money is in the follow up, right? And I knew this from my sales background as well, because, Bank of America and other companies I work for, when you're doing sales, a lot of what you have to focus on is like, you're not going to get the sale on the first try. Sometimes it takes, 7 to 9 touch points before you get a sale.
Yeah.
And so I already kind of knew that, if this buyer were to fall out, if he's been talking to me every week, I'm definitely next up on the list. Right. And when you look at it, you're calling them like once a week for 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
I probably put in maybe an hour, 2 hours into that deal and made $12,000. It's really not that much time.
Yeah.
But you just have to just be consistent with it over time.
That's awesome, man. Now, this is the beginning of your career, of your business. Yep. So I'm pretty sure you didn't have a CRM reminding you when to call. Like, how did you keep this, because the follow-up is important, right? People set reminders so they could do it. Like, what tactics did you use starting out so you could be so consistent?
I like this, man, because it's making me think about like how far I've gone. So I like this. I like this already. But I was storing this information in like Google Slides. I had I don't know why, but I just felt like, because I could put the picture of the property and all the information I needed to know there. So it was like a Google Slide. And so I had like 20 of these leads that I would just go in every day and just like double check. I wouldn't have any like automatic reminders or anything like that. I would just go in and like look at everyone every day and just say like, okay, who should I call today? And then it got to like 30. But it was like so unsophisticated. It was not automated at all.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew who was hot, who wasn't. But And I'm sure even with that, I still let some fall through the cracks.
Of course, yeah.
Automated. But that's what I was doing. I was hand dialing too. I was doing cold calling, but I had no dialer.
Probably, did you know about a dialer?
I didn't even know a dialer existed, So I was hand dialing, and you do like 25 an hour.
You weren't using like a rotary phone or anything, right?
Thank God, yeah. But even worse, you're dialing on like your iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, you dial one wrong number, and it's like the wrong number. You're like calling again. It just kills your time. And
it does.
So a lot of it was just, learning things the hard way. I didn't know enough. And so, to all the listeners, I mean, that's one thing. You just definitely invest in education, invest in yourself, meetups, ask other people. Because if I would have really just did that more, I probably would have got my first deal a lot sooner than it took me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember the beginning too. Yeah. Mine was bandit signs. So I had a bunch of people calling, mostly towns. You can't do this in my town.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But whenever I did get the lead, I would write it like on a piece of paper, and I just had it like pasted all over the place.
Yeah.
My wife would come home like, what the heck is going on over here? These are my leads. I lost so many leads, books. I wish I did slides. That would have been smarter. Yeah. And then I started using Podio. That was my first CRM because I believe it was free.
Yep.
Right? Podio's free. And it's for listeners out there, if you're just starting in real estate, you can use Podio. It's a free platform. It's CRM. You want to explain what CRM stands for?
Yeah, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you could just manage any customer relationships you have, and you don't lose deals like we probably did in the beginning.
Yeah. I remember I did bandit signs too. I did it one time. I went out. I was putting them up like at 4 a.m, and I got a call. And they said they had a house they wanted to sell, and I didn't do any research. I just went out and see the house, and it was like a cop, and like the
get out of here.
Yeah, it's like a retired cop, and like the township enforcer, and they gave me a ticket for like
no way, bro. You're the first person.
Yeah,
because I saw this on YouTube years ago. Like, is it legal or and he made up this whole story that it was like a sting operation. He's like, I'm just joking. He's like, that rarely happens. But wow, that it happened to you as a cop.
Yeah, my first time, and I remember. I left work early too because I was like, oh, I got this call. It's elite. They're calling my sign. It's elite. If I would have just like looked up the address, and like asked them how much are the taxes. This stuff they probably didn't have on hand. Mm-hmm. He just gave me an address. I drove to the house, and he's like, "You're Ralph?" Like, yeah. He was like, "All right, yeah." He pulled out his badge.
What?
Said, let me get your license, and I had to pay.
How much was the ticket?
$140.
That sucks.
Irvington,
I'm sorry for laughing, bro, but
true,
wow, that's because I've gotten a lot of. We used to screen most of them. Like, I wouldn't pick up saying like profit properties. I'd be like, hello.
Yeah.
And then I'll get the feel like, okay, that is a seller.
Legit, yeah. I didn't ask them why they wanted to sell. I didn't ask him any questions. He just said, I want to sell. It's my mom's house.
Yeah.
Can you come see it today? I was like, I'll come right now. And I didn't ask any questions. I didn't screen them. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. I just put up signs and I didn't pay it for a while though, because I was like, look, man, I'm struggling to make it right now. I'm not about to give Irvington $150, but I paid for it out of that first deal that I got.
Out of the first deal?
Yeah.
Nice. At least you don't need any warrants or anything weird. I don't even know if you get a warrant for something.
I was like, is this real? Is this like, did I get busted by undercovers?
That's so funny.
I thought I Googled legally how to make money legally. What happened here? Yeah.
Oh man, I used to get so many calls. Specifically, I don't even want to say the town, but the same guy used to call me all the time. And I just stayed putting them up in the town. Now, did you hang up the bandit signs to take them down, or you just leave them on? I put
what I was told from YouTube University is hanging them up like on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And then they said the township will take them down by Monday. Yeah. So I figured they would come down.
Yeah.
And I was gonna do it every week. I had planned, but after that first call, I was like, look, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going through these neighborhoods at 4:30 in the morning by myself with, jumping up on poles, hanging signs.
Yeah, I used to do them in the wintertime, man, out there in the cold, like guerrilla style, just running out, bang, 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 like until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, that's awesome, man. If you're looking to dive into the world of real estate, we have the perfect tools and resources just for you. Our carefully selected top secret document library is packed with proven documents to streamline your transactions and help you navigate the real estate market with confidence. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive wholesale 101 masterclass designed specifically for beginners. In this course, you'll learn everything you need to know about finding finding affordable properties, negotiating lucrative deals, and building a network of eager buyers. We're here to empower you with the knowledge and skills necessary to flourish in the real estate industry. But that's not all. The Real Estate Investor's Secret Vault is your gateway to unlimited success. Our marketing matrix and calculators will assist you in making informed decisions, ensuring maximum profits effortlessly. So don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to kickstart your real estate journey. Join us today and unlock the secrets that will propel your real estate career to new heights. Log on to investorsvault.club and get started now. Now let's get back to our program. So, all right, so you have the education and business now. What helped you the most? Like, did you read any books or anything, or any mentorship in the beginning, or did the business education, a mixture of everything? Like, what helped you get started?
I mean, I'll answer that question two ways. What helped me get started was still that feeling of like knowing that they can replace you at any moment in time. They can drop you at any time. They can send you home, and that kind of stayed on my back, which helped me remain focused in trying to get ahead. But a lot of what I did was YouTube, YouTube University. Watched a lot of people on YouTube, Jerry Norton, Max Maxwell, Brent, Jamil, all those folks. I didn't have, I keep going back to it. I didn't have the money to join any coaching programs. I would have, but I just didn't have the money for it. And so a lot of what I did was just like learning along the way. I literally became like obsessed with this. That's the thing that I think drove me, right? Like I was always listening to something, I was always reading something. I was always, I stopped listening to music for a while. I stopped watching TV. It was like every moment I could, I was trying to absorb. Yeah. Because it was like a whole new world had just been open to me that it's been here forever, but I had no idea. So I'm going to learn everything, and I'm going to force my way into this industry. And, so definitely YouTube, podcasts. There's not a lot of books on wholesaling, but books about real estate and like personal finance just kind of motivated me more, because now I knew if I get money, this is how I'm going to handle it. This is how I'm going to make sure I'm setting my family up for success. And I always said to myself that once I get my first wholesale check, I'll never be broke again. I'm going to use that, and that money is going to keep multiplying, and I'll never be back to where I was before.
That's good, man. That's super cool. Now, all right, I say the same thing all the time, like podcasts. I have like an 80-20 rule now. 80% I'm educating myself, whether I'm driving or anything, 20% music. Okay. So, when I go out on the weekend with my wife, date night, stuff, of course, I'm not listening to podcasts, even though I do. And she'd be like, babe, really? Yeah. It's Friday night. We're going out. I don't want to hear about, insurance. And like,
I do the same thing, but I'll just play music if people are in the car. But like my girl or my daughter, they always fall asleep in the car. So if they fall asleep,
it's game time.
They'll wake up as podcast.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. So, I mean, I think a lot of people do. All right, there's a lot to unpack here, because you were talking about like it was a whole new world and you got obsessed with it. I think that's key, right? Because in your situation, you were laid off. People pick up the Xbox real quick, the PS5 and start gaming 3 hours in the day, or maybe even more, because they got nothing to do. Right? You shut everything off, put the blinders on, and just started. So that's key, number one. Now, you're getting all this information. Are you the type of person that just takes action? That's who you are? Or did you fall in like the analysis paralysis slump for a little bit?
Yeah, man, you got good questions, man. Because see, now it makes me really think too, because I am not an impulse buyer, man. I'll lose out on like certain things because like I want to go home and think about it.
I'm a big duck. I'm like a salesman's dream. My wife's like, stop buying stuff, like weird stuff. I'm easily sold, bro.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the opposite for me. But with wholesaling, I took action, and now that I look back, it was like it was really like brave, because like. You're buying a list, you're, setting up LLC, you're cold calling people without you're just doing this on faith. You're just hoping this works, you don't know for sure it's going to work. And you're spending hours doing this, I'm missing family events because I want to cold call. I'm like killing my evenings every night, 6 to 8, because I work. So like 5 to 8, I'm cold calling, eating dinner, cold calling, just like doing things that, when you look back on it, it's like, man,
pretty nuts.
It had to have worked, because if it didn't work, I just wasted so much time doing that. Yeah. So for me, I'm not that kind of person that just like jumps in all the way. For me, I am a little bit of analysis paralysis, but I think the situation I was in made me realize that, you don't have time to be in this analysis paralysis phase. Wow. And you're going to have to like learn while you're doing it, right? It's like jump in and you're going to learn to swim or you're going to sink.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was. But everywhere else in my life, it's like, I am just like let me think about it. Let me mull it over.
Yeah.
So even like shopping, like online, I'm like, I'll have stuff in my cart for weeks before I say, all right, I might as well just get this. I've been looking at it for weeks already. Like a shaver, like just get it. You need it. Like, well, is this the best one? It's just,
let me check the reviews.
Yeah, I'm reading every review and then I'm like doing an average. Yeah.
That's funny because it's blind faith, right? Yeah. And a thing with especially like wholesaling, because it's a niche, like there's really not a lot of people to talk to about it. Like if you were in your group of friends and you tell them, I'm going to open a pizzeria. They're like, okay, I've seen a pizzeria. Yeah. But then you're like, I'm going to wholesale real estate. Like, what the heck is that?
Good point.
Like I'm going to sign and just create financial freedom. Signing deals. They were like, what are you talking about? So many people try to talk me out of it. Even my attorney, because in the beginning I try to build a team. Everybody's like, flipping houses, real estate. Like, you got to slow down. I'm like, bro, get out.
Yeah.
Get out. If you're not, giving me tips or helping me how to get there, then we have nothing to talk about.
And I wonder, I don't know what, your like childhood experience and stuff was like, but I wonder if I think there's like a common trait amongst people that like this, there's this like entrepreneurial bug that you must have had growing up as well.
Oh yeah. Just to give you an idea, like when I was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years old, I knew when people got paid in my house. Like we always hosted. It was always like a lot of family over. So I'm like, all right, they just got paid. How could I get that money? Yeah. So I created like almost like a nail salon. Like my mom's friends and cousins used to come over, and I used to like paint the nails myself.
Nice.
And just get paid off of it because I knew they got paid on this day. So on that day, I would come out and be like, I'll paint your nails. Give me some money.
Yeah. See, there's always like that common thread too, because I used to do stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I remember I used to sell like chocolates at school.
Okay.
And they were like $1 and I'd mark them up. I'd sell them for $1.50.
There you go.
And most people like, I don't have change, just keep the $2. And so I would like give the school back there for $40 for the 40 chocolates and I'd keep like 20 myself.
There you go.
So it's always like there's something like this entrepreneurial phase that people go through that I think kind of transitions when you're like in this space, right? That's why you could be obsessed and people say, don't do it, Mark. And you're like, I'm still going to do it because you kind of have this belief in yourself already.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that too, because I used to sell lollipops. My dad used to bring them from Colombia and they were like twice the size of a blow pop. Okay. So I sell them for twice the amount. Yeah. And I used to crush it. Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean saying but just for our listeners, let's say you're not this entrepreneur like us, that likes to go-getters from the beginning, right? Yep. You could still be an operator, right, and partner up with somebody like us, because believe it or not, we suck on the back end of things. Yep. Like I know how to generate income, right? Mm-hmm. I know how to get the money. I take action. Now the back side of things, that's where I lack in. And you could always partner up with somebody like us and still have a thriving business, because it usually takes two to make it happen. To scale, especially. Yeah, I mean the one-man show is like, it's commendable, but it's like, that's for the birds. It's just so hard to actually be successful being a one-man show. Right now, I'm looking to hire, a couple of different roles, because it's, I recently resigned in August. I resigned my job full-time. Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So now
you're all in.
I'm all in, and now I'm pumping out marketing money, and now I'm just like drowning in leads that I need someone else to be following up. I need to talk to the hot leads only. Yeah. So I need someone else to talk to like the warm leads and keep them warm.
Gotcha.
Or when they're ready, then I'm talking to them, because they're just falling through the cracks. So you definitely do need to build a team, and there's opportunity to partner up with people for sure. Yeah. And learn the business from somebody else for sure. Absolutely. We're gonna have your contact information. If there's somebody who's good at acquisitions, hit up Ralph. Yeah, please get into business. Please get some money. Yeah. So any books that you read specifically that in the beginning to get started that helped you get a clear vision of what you wanted to do? Yep, I definitely read the the real estate entry level Bible. I definitely read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Of course, that one. I'm from New York, so for me, I think everybody's like scamming me somehow. Right? I'm always watching out for the scams. So in Jersey, we feel the same way too, man. We're always like somebody's after us. I think it's like an East Coast thing. You just feel like, nah, is this a scam? So like I'm reading Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, this guy's had this book out for years, and I'm reading it, And I'm like, he's lying. And I'm fact checking it. Like, there's no such thing as 1031 exchange where you could like not pay taxes on a property you sell. And like, this is real. I couldn't believe it was real. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A lot of what I had to read to had to change my psychology about money in general.
Okay.
Because, you know, I'm Christian. My family's Christian, you know, and so that's a big part of my life, my journey. But my family didn't have a lot of money growing up. Mm-hmm. So naturally their friends didn't have a lot of money growing up. And, you know, people in church didn't have a lot of money. So we were around these community of people that are just hard workers, but don't have a lot of money, but they love God. So it's kind of like, hey, you know, this is probably where God's people are just poor. They just don't have a lot of money. That's how God wants it to be. And you kind of have this like badge of honor that, you know, we just don't have money, but you know, we're good people and rich people are bad. Yeah. They have to be bad because my parents are good and they're poor. So you can't, you know, and so my psychology of money and had to change around like, you know, is money evil? You know, because money is the root of evil and all these things had to change. So I read a lot of other books like, you know, Richest Man in Babylon, understanding you know, you're in your situation not because, you know, God wants you to be this way. You're in this situation because you made dumb decisions. You know? You're going out to eat every weekend and you don't have enough to pay bills. You made these decisions that put you there. So I remember reading Think and Grow Rich. A lot of books that just helped me change my thinking around like money, how to use money, how wealthy people use money versus how like consumers use money. And so those books weren't directly related to wholesaling, but they just like were like gasoline because it just made me, I was like, you know, seething for an opportunity to get a big check because I was like, I'm going to parlay this. I know how to use this now, right? Yeah. If you'd given me that $12,000 check 4 years ago, I'd have, you know, blew a bag. I'd have got some new sneakers, some new clothes. I would have went on a trip and then, you know, end up in the same place over and over again. You know what I mean? So, And currently right now I'm reading, as I'm like thinking about building out my team, I'm reading Jesus CEO, which was recommended to me by a wholesaler that has like a big team.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah. It talks about like how pretty much, you know, it's not like, and you know, I don't know if people's not super religious, but he just talks about strategies he used and like how you can apply that to business. So it's
absolutely, man. Yeah. I'm big on that because I love what you were saying there because your mindset had to shift in order for you to get into real estate and be successful in it. Yep. That same thing was happening with me, right? Like I spent developing my mindset, I would say probably 2 years before stepping into real estate. Okay, yeah. I started going to a Christian men's group. I'm Christian also. Okay. And we took a trip out to San Diego, and it was 5,000 men, right? Not only that, but there was high-level entrepreneurs there. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I encountered a high-level, like close to like millionaire. The guy's worth like 400 million, praising God. Yeah. Like on his knees, worshiping. Wow. Yeah. I was like, rich people aren't bad. Yeah, you know, that's where it started to break off. And I'm like, wow, if they could do it, God has the same promises for me. Yeah. And that's where it started developing, where my mindset, and I had a kingdom mindset now stepping into real estate, you know, with abundance and a vision, you know, and that really helped me in the beginning. As far as like, you know, our faith, because we had blind faith doing what we're doing. We're hanging up signs in the hood at 11 at night. You know what I mean? You got to have some type of faith to believe that something's going to come from it. Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps as you're saying that because like I remember that too. I remember encountering people with money that like love God. They were good people. So I was like, wait, so rich people are not evil? I thought it was always like, you know, eat the rich, they're evil. And let's, you know, but I mean, it was just eye-opening to me as well to see like, oh, people have millions of dollars and like, and you always talk too, you know, you always think, oh, yeah, if you make that much money, you'll forget about God. You'll forget, your spiritual will go away. You'll just become like a lascivious being. You just, you know, buying everything and overspending. And it was like eye-opening to see people that, you know, had money and were using it right. And, and that also just like inspired me too. Yeah. So
that's awesome, man. Relate. That's good stuff. So name 3 people that been the most inspiration in your life up to now.
3 people. I'm definitely gonna say, you know, my dad. You know, I just personally have never seen somebody like work so hard. Like my dad, I can't remember him ever taking a sick day. Mm-hmm. You know, in like 30, 40 years, and he worked at a factory. You know, so he worked. He worked.
He was working.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so he definitely inspires me tremendously. Just being a family man, my dad was just never the type of guy to be like out all the time with his friends, drinking beer. He was always home with his kids, invested in his family.
Yeah.
He may not have a lot of money, but had a lot of like time. He gave us time, right? He gave us love. So definitely my father, big inspiration to me is also Kobe Bryant. I've just always been a Kobe Bryant fan. Right now, it's not
Mamba mentality.
Yeah, but and as a kid, I watched him, and I never really knew his work ethic. But I would just watch this guy do like amazing things and like feel like he was winning for me when I would watch the game, because I would want him to win so bad, and like he would deliver. And then as you get older, you hear some of like how his life was and how much he trained and how serious he took it. The guy's like on the plane flying back from a game, everybody's asleep, and he's like drawing courts on like napkins and like reworking plays at like 3 a.m. You know what I mean? So, but that's the reason why I probably was like so attracted to what he was doing, because of the work he was putting behind there. So I say that because it just makes me, he inspires me, because you think about the work it takes to create success. The little part where you see the success, you don't know what's happening. You don't know all the things that happened before that. So that definitely inspires me.
And he's a girl dad.
Yeah, and he's a girl dad. Yep.
Right?
He's a girl dad. I'm a girl dad, yeah, for sure. If I had to pick somebody else, it would have to be my grandmother, which is my mom's mom. She was just like a warrior, man. She raised kids by herself. She's from Haiti. Was also dirt poor, and just really, I don't want to put all her business out there, but she made some decisions that were tough in life that a lot of people probably wouldn't have done at a time that I'm being vague on purpose, but at a time where it wouldn't have happened. And so I always think back to her strength, and I think about, these are my family, right? So I got this kind of blood running through me, so it just inspires me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's some good motivation there. I was talking to one of my friends, and he's Korean, and he talks about like he always his parents and his grandmother specifically used to make him feel like when he lets down, he's letting down everybody, like the whole camp back home, like he's just letting them down, and that motivates him to get back up and keep doing what he's doing.
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what are the future goals for yourself, business wise, and for your companies?
Yeah, so right now I think I'm in like that hustle season still. I'm full time now, so there is a certain level of time freedom that I have, because I use my time how I want it, right? For the most part. I mean, I love being in business for myself, so it doesn't feel like a drag to get up and work on the business for me, whereas like you go into a 9 to 5, you feel like you're dragging. So, but my ultimate goal is to own enough rental properties that, that I'm making money off that passive income. Definitely want to get into flipping myself. It's something that I've thought about a while, but haven't really explored personally. Just, every time I get a deal, I'm like, should I keep this and flip it? Like, no, let me just wholesale it, right? So eventually I do want to start keeping some of those, but my long-term goal is to have a nice portfolio of rentals, and I own a couple of rentals now already, but I really want to build that up, and then just do some private lending as well on the side as well, right? So just to have money working for me so I can kind of like pull back a little bit more.
Yeah, get into that place, man. It's awesome to see where you started, where you're at, and I definitely see something bright in your future, man.
Appreciate it, man.
That's good. And once you get there, we got to bring you back on.
Yeah.
Why don't you let the people know where they can find you, your social media, your handle?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I think it's Ralph Germain _. I'm on Facebook. I'm probably more active on Facebook than Instagram, but I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Ralph Germain _ as well. So just RALPH Germain _
Awesome. Yeah. So make sure you hit him up. Follow him. We're going to have links in the show notes. Ralph, thank you. So much wisdom.
Appreciate
I'm like super motivated right now, bro.
This was awesome,
this is good stuff.
I got a seller's appointment after this, so I feel
nice. You're going to lock it up, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, guys. See ya.